I'm Eric Newell. I'm CEO and co-founder of Stoneridge Software. Thank you all for joining us on this 12 days of this great opportunity to learn even more about what Microsoft Copilot has to offer and all the different ways you can use it. Today, I'm going to wrap things up by talking about how to align your organization and get ready to adopt this technology. So our goal for today's session is really to make sure that you can align Copilot with your leadership and organizational objectives. So I like to talk about things in terms of why, like why should you do it? What does it mean? What are you doing? And then how do you go about doing it? So that's what we're going to cover today. So the biggest question is, why do you want to invest in it? So in order to align Copilot, you got to understand what your objectives are. So I'll give you some ideas of some things that might be an objective that you want to accomplish. But what we're seeing from adoption of Copilot across Microsoft is businesses are seeing 132 to 353% return on investment on any Copilot investments they're making. Now, part of that is Copilot isn't very expensive to get started with. There are some licenses you need to buy. Some companies are doing it on their own. We recommend you work with a partner to help you get started on it. But either way, it's a relatively minimal investment to get started on Copilot, and you're seeing huge returns come from that as well. So that's the first thing you want to understand is what are those objectives that you want to accomplish? So let's talk about what some of them are and what some of the most popular options are. First is getting your products into the market even faster. So you can do so much with Copilot to help you understand really what your products need to look like, what the competition looks like in the market. You can write product descriptions really quickly. You can view a history to determine what are the best products that you need to get out of the market at this particular time. You can do research across what your competitors are doing out in the marketplace so much faster now than you ever have before. So all of those things will help you get that right product out to the market and get it out on your e-commerce site or get it out on the shelves faster, get it out as a service that you're offering your clients. So as you're thinking about going into 2025, what are those products you need to have in the market and how can you get them moving? And Copilot can help you with that. Next, you're probably looking at opportunities to increase the productivity of the team that you have today. So we covered a lot of this in the previous 11 days, but one of the key things that we've deployed is the Copilot for Sales functionality now, where any emails that we're sharing with prospects or clients, we're able to actually automatically update opportunities and accounts based on content that's in those emails. So that just allows us to move faster. Our sales people don't have to take an extra step to go back into Dynamics 365 to be able to update these opportunities. So that's one way it's increasing productivity for us. But we can also create on-brand presentations very quickly. So you can line up PowerPoint with your brand templates and pictures that you often use, and you can just crank out presentations so much faster. And as in my role as CEO, I spend a lot of time creating presentations. So to be able to move this much faster has really been helpful for me personally. And then improving employee satisfaction is another big reason why companies are investing in Copilot. And with the holidays coming up, one of the best ways that you can take advantage of this, and you may have seen this in some of our earlier sessions, but you can get caught up on your email really, really quickly. I've had friends at Microsoft who've been gone for 2 weeks, and within an hour, they're caught up on the day that they get back. So just imagine what it would be like if you're out for the holidays and you come back on January 2nd, and you can have a summary of all the important emails. Hey, look for any emails that came from these clients and summarize them for me. Look at what priorities I have coming up for the next week in my task list or on my planner board. Summarize all that stuff for me so I can focus on the most important thing. Just imagine how much faster you can get back into the swing of work after the holidays if you have these Copilot tools to help you get started. So again, everybody's going to have different ways that you can take advantage of Copilot, and hopefully you've seen some of those over the past 11 days. But if you know that this is something you want to do, you can go ahead and get started on it quickly, knowing that you're going to get a really great rate of return for the investment you put into it. So I won't spend a lot of time talking about what can you do with Copilot. I shared a few things that I like to do with it, but all of our 11 days of Copilot content is available on demand. So if you signed up for the webinar series and you missed one of those days, go back and check out what you may have missed there. Those recordings are available for you. All right, now let's talk about how to get going on it. So how do you make Copilot happen for your business? So we've come up with this process that we call a Copilot flight school and the flight simulation, which gets you going on Copilot pretty quickly. So the first thing you need to do, though, is you need to figure out what do you want to do and how do you want to get started and who's going to be part of that initial pilot to get going with Copilot. So what I recommend is start with some folks in your IT team, start with a few power users, and make sure that they know what they're getting into by taking advantage of this Copilot functionality. And then we'll walk you through a few different steps. So the first thing we do is this thing called Meet Copilot, where it's just an overview of Copilot and what it does. Again, if folks have watched a lot of these videos, they probably have a pretty good sense of it, but we want to make sure that they know what it is and what it can do. And then we do this pre-flight checklist, and that just gives us a sense of what your security environment looks like. What information do you want to have in scope for Copilot? So it's easier to start with just email, but if you've been using OneDrive and SharePoint, and if you've been using tools like Purview, now all of a sudden you have a lot more data available to Copilot as well. So we'll take a look at that, try to figure out what the right place to start is, what the scope of content you want to have discoverable by Copilot. And then we have kind of an optional deeper dive into flight readiness. So again, making sure that we've got some change management conversations going on with those that are going to be impacted on it. If there is deeper dives that we need to do in security, at that point, we can do that as well. So those are all the steps of really preparing your team to get ready. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll conduct a Copilot flight school. So this starts by first enabling your licenses. So 10 Copilot licenses, typically what we start with. We'll talk about a business value workshop so you understand like what your different ways to use it and how you can get a rate of return for what you're using it. And we'll work with you through the deployment and configuration of the system. We'll build an end user communication and launch kit for you as well, so you know what's coming and what your users are getting in for. And then we'll do about 3 hours of end user training to just walk you through some very common ways of using it based on what you see as the priorities. And then after that, we'll do check-ins and we'll do a flight value report to see if your users are actually using it and how they're taking advantage of it. So this Copilot flight school is really our recommended way for you to get started on using Copilot. And then from there, you can really extend it in many different ways. So you can extend it by doing additional training or doing additional discovery on different things you want to do. You can deploy it out to more people within your organization that way. And we've talked a lot about agents and Copilot Studio. Maybe you want to take advantage of some of the knowledge that you have internally and be able to deploy an agent that goes and looks at this information and allows you to take that information and make it available to people within your organization. One example that I found really interesting is, let's say somebody is retiring and they've worked for the company for 30 years. So say Janice is retiring at the end of the year and you want to make sure that you can go on, you can still run the business without Janice, even though she's been instrumental to things that you've done in the business. So what you can do is you can point Copilot and an agent at all of the emails and history of what she's been working on. And then you can sit down and actually interview her for a couple hours of all the different things that she does. And now you can actually create an agent that's like, here are all the things that Janice knows and Janice can do. So that's another way you could extend it if you've got a scenario like that where somebody's leaving the company after many years. So these are all just different ways that you can make this happen, but our Copilot Flight School is really the way to make this happen. We do this aligned with your company and leadership objectives as well to make sure you're getting going, and then you can really take it from there.